again then. All right. That's a piecewise function. That's what it looks like as a table, so you might want to write that down. This is like where you stop and go, a lot of red light questions. If you were to graph this, you have to pay attention to your signs, your inequalities. So if I was to graph this, we know we have 0 all the way up to 3.5, so 1, 3, 4, and 0 to 1. So 0 to 1 is at, let's see, 49, so I'm going to go 25, 50, 75, 100, and 125. Oops. 125. Okay. Is everybody paying attention? I have to ask Pendleton. I'm about ready for y'all to put your laptops up, because nobody works on your laptop during class like y'all do. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and warn you, all right? Because I don't think half of y'all are paying attention to what I'm doing. Okay, you're not going to insult my intelligence. I at least need to go ahead and say that, because I don't want you to go out and say, I play on my computer all day, don't even pay attention. I know what you're doing. So if you're legitimately using your laptop, fine. But remember what I told each and every one of y'all, as I tell all my students, if you don't want to be here, what? Leave. So if you don't want to be here and you want to play on your computer, go out in the hallway and play on it. Y'all pushed me until y'all pushed me too much. Now, if you're legitimately working on your laptop, I'm not talking to you. All right. Nobody, no class works 100% on the laptop. All right. So 49. 49 is right in here. So what kind of, you're going to have a open circle here, and it's going to go to a closed circle there. And then at 70, 1 to 2, that's right here. 70 is right in there. That's an open circle and a closed circle. And then at 2 and 3, at 91, so somewhere in here, you're going to have an open circle and a closed circle. And then at 112, 3 to 3.5, which would be right in here, you're going to have an open circle and a closed circle. Now, the only thing that I want you to know on these piecewise functions is basically, I'm going to highlight what I want you to know. And therefore, I want you to highlight it, because that's all I'm going to worry about. I want you to worry, really? I hit highlight, and it doesn't work. I'm about ready to quit. Highlight, highlight.
It's bugging out. It keeps opening up a window.
I know. Anyway, I'm not going to. There, I want you to highlight those, and those reflect on these. That's all I want you to. Of course, you need to be able to graph it. Now, if you want to graph it on your calculator, you need to do the research, because I don't know how. I know you put in the inequalities, and you have to put in the inequalities, and if you want to do that, knock yourself out. But I want you to be able to tell what a piecewise function is. I want you to be able to read it. Other than that, I really don't care about testing you on anything else. I may ask you questions about a graph of a piecewise, but I'm not going to go into detail. So in other words, I'm telling you, as far as a piecewise function, you're probably talking, if at all, one question on the test. Capiche? And they're going to probably graphic. It's going to look like mine, only it's going to look a lot better. There it is. And make sure you know how to read it. Think about it as red lights. Red lights, Main Street. You sit for how long? 20 seconds. And boom, you go to the next street. Sit for 20 seconds. You go to the next street. And then you go to the next street. And you don't wait 20 seconds. You wait 10 seconds. Think of it as a red light. Here is a piecewise function, so let's graph this one. Let's do it by hand because it's easiest to show you to do it by hand. So I'm going to do it in black, and you should be able to do this without any problem. Now, I will ask you to graph a piecewise function. I will ask you that like this one. All right? So 5x plus 2. What can you tell me from what you've learned and what you've reviewed and what you have done the last few weeks? Tell me, what do you know about that function?
2 is the y-intercept.
2 is the y-intercept. That's perfect. Good. And what does 5 do to the straight line? Does it make it shallow or steeper? Makes it steeper. So that's 5 vertical over 1 horizontal, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. So we've got a line that looks like that, give or take a little bit. I'm going to draw that line in blue. All right, so that one's in blue. Now, where is x? X is from 0 to what?
3.
0 to 3. So I can only use x is equal to 0 and x is equal to 3. I can only use 0 to 3. So 3 would be 15 plus 2, which is what? 17? So that's going to be way the heck up here.
It's less than 3, though. It's not equal to.
Okay, well, I'm going to get there. Just give me time. All right, so I'm going to erase everything having to do with that line and redraw my line at 0 to, so there is my blue line. Now, as you said, I have a closed circle at the 0. And what do I have at the 3? An open circle. So I'm going to erase, and it's going to erase the whole line probably. Yep. I'm going to get training one day, don't worry. And, okay, so there's that line. Now let's do the other one. And we'll do it in rouge. So what does that, somebody tell me what you know about x to the third. Go to your family of graphs. What do you know about x to the third? It goes through the what?
Here.
Oh, we did it later.
Family of graphs, the 8 or 10 family of graphs. What does x to the third do?
It goes through quadrant 1 and quadrant 3.
Okay, but it goes through the what?
The
The origin. So it looks like this.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, that's the one.
Okay, now I've done that. That's that part. Now, where is my 3 to what?
5.
3 to 5. Well, here's 3. And what kind of line what kind of circle do we have on 3?
Equal to
Closed.
Closed, so it goes right there. And I erase, and of course it's going to erase the whole thing. I've got to redraw. So it looks like that. And what about 5? What did we get at 5? Closed circle. So there is your piecewise function for those two. Now, of course, if you have a piece of graph paper, this makes it a whole lot easier. I'm just sketching it. And that's what you should be able to do, is sketch it. There it is. Now mine's a little bit 5 vertical over horizontal. Okay, yeah. Mine's a little bit off because I didn't do my scales like they did, so mine's a little bit, mine was up here, but you get the point. The circles are what's important. You need to know when it's an open circle or a closed circle. Questions? So here's another one, and I would suggest that you use your calculator for this one. Now, you can put in these, but you have to be careful. Let me go ahead and show you how to do that. Let me put keep, and it's real simple for those that don't know how to do it. You go to what's called Google, and you type in graphing. I can't spell. Graphing piecewise functions, and then type in maybe TI-83, and it shows you how to do that. And all you have to do basically is type in your inequalities after you type in your graph. Okay? I'm not going to go into it, but in other words, you would type in, I can't remember if you put a comma. I think you put a comma. I don't know right offhand, but I'm going to try to, there's videos that you can watch. I'm going to try to just do it and see what I come up with. Okay? I can't remember how to do it because I don't use a calculator that much. But you can go to, I use a TI-83 maybe because it's a whole lot easier to use. And I'm just going to type in y is equal, what was that first one? 2x plus what? Or 5x? What was it?
5x plus 2.
5x plus 2. And I think you can hit the comma and then type in, I'm just going to say x is greater than 0. X is greater than, and I can't remember, is it math? Yeah, is it math? Somebody have to look up the greater than symbol. I can't remember if it's under math or if it's under second. I'm trying to find it. Somebody know where it is? I thought it was under math. It's not under angle.
Second is in math, I think.
It's in test. You sure? Yeah, there it is. Thank you. Second, appreciate the interaction. And I'm going to say is greater than and equal to 0. And it should graph it. Okay, it's not like it. I don't think, it may not like the comma. I can't remember if it's a comma or if it's a colon or what. So that's the way you type it in, but I can't remember, and I'm not going to spend time, going in it in class, but I can't remember if it's a comma. Does anybody know from past classes?
Nope.
Okay, well, y'all play with it and see what you come up with. I think it's a comma or a semicolon or something. I'm trying to remember, but I just can't right now. But it will graph the function 5x plus 2, and it'll only graph it in the first quadrant because of x is greater than or equal to 0. It will do it, but I just can't remember what the nomenclature is for second math. No, it's not any of that. I really can't remember. So I'll try to find it before the next class. But y'all play with it, go to the videos, look it up. You know, y'all can do that. I have faith in it. And that's how you would. I would not ask this on a test, but the previous problem I would. So that problem I would ask on a test. And you would just have a B, C, or D to choose from. And that's what we would do there. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. I want to get to exponentials. Okay, absolute value. Go to your family of graphs. What does an absolute value look like? Absolute value, absolute vodka. What does value and vodka start with?
V.
There you go. I knew I'd get some alcoholics on that one. All right. So there is your equation. So how would we solve this? How would we draw this out? Well, remember your intercept method. What is your intercept method? Bring it over and we get f of x is equal to absolute value of x minus 4, what? Minus 16. F of x is equal to 3x minus 5 minus 10. Okay, take our handy dandy highlighter. And I'm going to highlight this guy. And I'm going to highlight this guy. And I'm going to highlight this guy. Why did I highlight those? Because that's your orientation, your horizontal shift, and your what? Vertical shift. And you got your family of graphs to tell you what absolute value looks like. So what's our vertex here? Positive 4 and negative what? 16. Positive 4 and negative 16. This is 1. What does 1 tell us? It is a regular parabola.
Wait, positive 4. Oh,
What does this tell us? We've got a 1 here. And this is a 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and negative 10. And it is a regular parabola. So, if you needed to graph this, you would type in, I think it's math. Somebody look under math. You type in f of x or y is equal. You type in math. I think it's ABS. Somebody check me on that. Math, ABS, and then you type in x minus 4, and then minus 16, and it should do the graph of the absolute value. Now you don't need the graph because you can sketch it. Okay? ABS,
Why do we not
x
use
minus
the
4,
3 in that?
minus what?
I said, why do we use the 3 on the part B of the absolute value?
Oh yeah, you would have to factor that out. I forgot. It would be 3. You'd have to factor it out, and that'd be 5/3. You're right. Thank you for. I didn't even notice the 3. Let me fix that. Well, you can't factor out. I'm sorry, you can't factor out on absolute value, so you would leave it. You can't factor that out. You can't factor. The only thing you can factor out of is an equation. You can't factor out of parentheses or radicals. So you would just leave it. But the whole point is you would graph it based on that vertical and horizontal what? Shift.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay? It still looks like a V. My bad. And they're actually solving. Okay? I didn't solve. I'll show you how to solve right quick. And some of you may not remember how to solve. Let me go back and show you how to solve. when you have an absolute value, remember, the absolute value is not only equal to the positive, it's also equal to the what? The negative. And if you don't believe me, let's go back here and say, what is the absolute value of negative 4?
4.
4. What's the absolute value of positive 4?
Negative.
4. Because this is nothing but what? Distance. And distance can never be what? Positive or negative. How many of you have traveled down the highway and saw a road sign that said Atlanta positive 200 miles or negative 200 miles? You never have seen that because distance is never positive or negative. So when you set this equal, if you want to drop the absolute value marks, you have to set it equal to the positive 16 and the what? Negative 16. So that'd be x minus 4 is equal to 16, and x minus 4 is equal to negative 16. Solve it. Same thing here. 3x, I thought they were asking the graphic. 3x minus 5 is equal to 10. 3x minus 5 is equal to what? Negative 10. And you have to set it, if you're solving it, you have to set it equal to the positive
20
and the what?
and
The negative.
12.
Now that is a test question. Now they're asking to solve it. Okay? That is a test question. Now if you was to graph it, then you would set it up with the vertical and horizontal shift. I'm part male. I'm male, so don't just forget I even said that, okay? Shut up, Hubert. Okay? I am a male, so I don't follow directions very well.
Part male.
Okay, shut up. I'm glad Jake's not here. Good God. He'd jump on that big time. All right. Where is Mullet Head anyway?
Probably at work, I guess.
He works for a living.
I guess.
A power function. I'm not going to ask any of these. Okay, there we go. Root function. There we are. Family of graphs. Go back to your family of graphs. What does a square root function look like? It looks like this. Also, it's a power function. Most of your power functions are going to be in the what quadrant? The first quadrant.
First.
Okay? And of course, this is 1/3. This is what a even, I guess you'd call it an even power function would look like this. An odd power function is going to be the inverse of a cubic function, which would be a sideways S instead of a vertical S. Now, I don't think I gave you this one, so you might want to add that to your family of graphs. And that would be x to the 1 over odd. X to the 1 over odd. X to the 1 over even is going to look like a swoosh. And I can't remember if I gave you that one or not. I might have gave you the log, which that's...
I don't see it on.
Okay, we'll go ahead and add both of those. And again, I'm not going to ask you too much in-depth questions about this one, about these. I'm just going to ask you, what does this look like? And you say, and you have a choice of a cubic function or x to the 1/3. If it's sideways, it's going to be x to the 1/3. If it's vertical, then it's going to be what? X to the 3rd. What do I mean by vertical? Well, here's the vertical. That's x to the what? X to the 3rd. You see what happens?
Oh, side.
Yeah. The x to the 3rd is vertical. The x to the 1/3 is horizontal. And how does that relationship happen here? Y is equal to what? X to the 2nd? Where is x to the 2nd? See there? X to the second is a what? A parabola. What is y to the 1/2? That's half of a hyperbola. Why? Because you can't take the square root of a what? You can't take the square root of a negative number, so that's why I dashed in the other part. You can't have that. You can't have the square root of a negative number. Capiche? So make sure you understand those two graphs. Again, that should be on your family of graphs by now, and you ought to be able to pick it out of a group. In other words, if I test you, I would say, what is this function? And then you'd have A, B, C, and D. And the first one would have y is equal to 1/2, x to the 1/2, or y is equal to x squared, or y is equal to 1/3, or whatever. And you would pick the one that it belongs to. Direct variation. In the production of an item, the number of units of one raw material required, let's highlight that. One raw material required, the number of units one raw material required varies as the cube, the number of units a second raw material that is required. All right, and they just gave us, remember, y, this is from your Algebra 1 and Algebra 2, y is equal to k times x. That is direct variation. Y is equal to k over x is inverse variation. And y is equal to kxz is what? Joint variation. So you should remember that from your Algebra 1 and Algebra 2. Y'all remember that?
Yep.
Yes, no, maybe?
A little bit.
A little bit. Okay, well, there's your three. So it says varies, and I guess they want to say directly. I don't see anything that says, it says the number of units of one raw material. I would call that, I don't know if they're assigning numbers. Okay, so let's just go with this one. So y, we'll say that this is y, and this is x. And then they say, suppose 500 units of the first, 500 is equal to k times, suppose 5 units. Wait a minute. They're giving us 3 things. So they want us to plug in for k and, okay, they're raising it to the nth power. Okay. So write down that one, kx to the nth power. All right, kx to the nth power, and then they're giving us that one. Sorry, kx to the n. And okay, kx to the third, because somewhere in here they're telling us, I don't know why it's to the third. Read that and make sure it says, does it say anything about the third? I don't see anything that tells that to be the third. Number of units in one raw material, suppose 500 units of the first, that's the second raw material. How many units of the first raw material are required? How did they go from nth power, constant k, variation y varies directly as the nth power? But I don't see anything that says it should be k to the third. Yeah, I just went through all of that. That y represents the first raw material. I did that. I don't know where they're coming up with the 3. Okay, I was doing that. Okay. K is equal to 4. All right, so your formula is 4x to the third. I have to find out where they're coming up with that 3, because they're not giving us the information to come up with that 3. They're saying that y is equal to kx to the third, to the nth, But I didn't see anywhere in the problem that it said that it was supposed to be a cubic function. How do we know it shouldn't be a square function? Did anybody see in that question that it was to the third?
Could you go back to the question?
Yeah.
No.
I saw in the second sentence about.
Maybe I missed it.
If you look at the.
As the cube.
As the cube of the number.
Where?
Is that
Where do you see that?
The second line.
Yeah.
As the cube of the number.
Oh!
Is that?
There it is. I told you it was in there. I just didn't see it. All right. Write that down. There it is, the cube. I thought I was using the highlighter. I'm sorry. That's the cube of the, there's where the 3 comes in. And then you plug and chug and you come out with K, and then you rewrite K. Is this a test question? No. Is it a standardized test question? Yes. All right. So make sure you know, and it comes from that algebra that you used a long time ago. And I'm going to rewrite them. Y is equal to K times X. That's direct. Y is equal to K over X. That's inverse. And Y is equal to KXZ. That's joint. And I don't know why I didn't see that cube, but thank you for seeing it because I didn't see it. All right? So all they did was that cube, the word cube, in the paragraph that I missed, changes that to 3. And then you just plug and chug and solve for K. Now, if you don't remember if you don't remember this right here, okay, I'll go over it right quick. All right, let me just do that because I feel better because I think some of y'all have never seen this before. So let me hit the handy dandy escape button. Keep that. And I'll go over this right quick for you because you might see this on a standardized test. Y is equal to K times X. Y is equal to K over X. And Y is equal to KXZ. Now, when you're dealing with direct and inverse, and there's 3 types of problems. The first type is to plug, the first type is to exchange variables. I always spell variables and it doesn't look right. K never changes. Why does K never change? Because it is called a what? Can somebody give me an example of a constant in science or math?
Yeah, I used to know that.
No, a constant meaning a variable that means a number.
Is it like any real number?
Pi is a constant. If I asked you what pi is, what does everybody say? 3.1415973, blah, 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 blah. Okay, if I give you E is equal to 2.16, blah, 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 blah. It is a number assigned to a variable. K is what you will be looking for in these problems. It's so nice to use the whiteboard because when I hit highlight, it goes to highlight. All right. That's what you're going to be looking for. That's the first thing you do. Now, there's 3 types of problems. The first type, I'll just call it A, plug and chug. Usually, you're going to plug and chug, and you're going to find K and plug back into and back substitute. I'm going to say back substitute because you're going to put K back into the problem. Back substitute. back sub k. And when you get through, you're going to get a problem that has k in it. That's what they just did in that problem. All right? The second type, you're going to plug B, you're going to plug and chug, you're going to find k, and then you're going to be given more info. So there's your two types of problem. Either one, you got to find k before you do anything. So let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. Okay? So, well, it'd be better if I just show you an example because I don't want to make up one that totally gets screwed up. Well, let's take that last problem. Let's take the last problem now. There's the problem, or let me go back, and hopefully I won't screw it up this time, and I'll read it, and I won't forget the cube. Okay? So let me erase this. Well, no. Let me pull it up. Current slide. Well, let me do these way. Erase. Yes. Okay. From current slide. It's supposed to ask me to get rid of everything. This thing's having some kind of fit. Okay, so let me just erase what I can. Okay, now we're not even erasing anything. Okay, let me do this. Escape. Get out of this. Go back to this. 3.3. Sorry about this. I should just call class off, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah, I get all kind of interaction when it comes to causing, it could be worse. Y'all could have some other teacher that was really.
Yeah, that's right.
I had a bad math teacher before.
You better what?
I had a bad math teacher before.
Oh, where at?
It was out of state. She couldn't even teach algebra 1. She would just go over the homework questions and then just sit down. And the thing is, she'd find like a really hard, difficult way to teach it. Like she would teach it. She'd find like a.
She would go around the world. She would go around the world to explain something.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, here we go. So here's the problem, and hopefully I won't screw it up this time. But I did start it off okay. I just didn't say the word cube. The number of units of one raw material required. We're going to make that y. And sometimes they say the number of one raw material required, and they may give you a variable n. Okay? I'm just going to put n sub 1 here because they may do this. All right? Varies. There should have directly here, but the preceding slide said the word directly, so therefore they're saying kind of like with a comma. It refers to the last slide. So usually right here they'll have direct, inverse, or what? Joint. They'll have those directions in there. And then it says as the cube, there's what I missed, of the number of units of a second raw material, and we'll call that n sub what? 2. All right, so I'm going to say n sub 1 is equal to k times what? N sub 2 raised to the what? Third power. Now what I just did there is in a normal question that you don't have a slide preceding telling you directly, it would give you, it may give you these variables, and you have to substitute them in, and they may ask you for this equation. That may be the answer to the equation. What's the equation? There would be the equation right there. Okay, the second thing they're going to ask you to do is they're going to give you more information. Here's the more information right here. I think right here. All right, suppose 500 units of the first, okay, and 5 units of the second raw material are required to produce 100 units of the item. So what they're wanting you to do is find K. So they plug and chug. There. So write that down. So now I'm going to take and divide by 5 to the third. Divide by 5 to the third. Divide by 5 to the third. That's 5 times 100 over 5 times 5 times 5. So that's going to be 4. 100 divided by 25 is equal to 4. So K is equal to what? Now what I do with that K? I plug it back substitute into the what? The equation, and I get, now in this case I'm going to get n sub 1 is equal to 4 times n sub 2 raised to the what? Third power. That's how you do the problem, and then they give you the next number and you plug that in, which they would give you the second. They'll say, what is the first amount needed to make 200 units of the second, or whatever. They'll say something like that, and you plug that back in. So that's the type of material, that's the type of formula that they're going to ask you to do. Okay? And there's where they ask you for the 10. You plug the 10 in and you get 4,000. And that comes from, hold on. Let me go back. No, I don't want to discard. Keep. Let's go back here. Here it is. How many units of the first material to make 10 units of the second? You take that 10 and you plug it back in. And that's what they did right there. There's the 10. You might see a problem like this on a test, but it'll be written a whole lot better than this one. I don't like the way that one's written. There we go. Inverse. Write that down. I already told you to write it down, but you may write it down the way they've got it. They've got to the negative nth power. You might want to write it down. And if you've had Algebra 1, you should have had this before. Okay? But it may be a while since you've had it. Now, remember, inverse. You will see the word inverse in the problem. Hopefully a whole lot better than I saw the word cube. You don't have to write down the whole thing. Just write down y is equal to k over x and y is equal to k over x to the n. Okay, here we go. The illumination produced by light varies inversely. Okay, illumination by the light. You want to call that I, little I if you want to. Okay, is equal to k over d to the second power. Is it to the second power? Let's see. Square, yes. So that's not the square root. Does it say square root or square?
Square.
Okay, so do not confuse that with square root. So I don't know what variables they're going to use because usually they tell you the illumination produced. So I'm going to call this I. And I'm going to call this, of course, what is D in all, what is distance in all of your sciences? D. So I'm going to rewrite this using the varies inversely. Y is I is equal to K times over D what? Squared. So that takes care of all of that.
I could just get rid of all the work.
Now finish it. If the illumination, what is illumination? 30 is equal to K, which you're going to find, over parentheses squared.
I think you got that backwards. It's 30 feet from a light source.
Okay, thank you.
Oh.
My bad. 30 is distance, sorry. And 60 candelas, whatever. I think candlelight. Remember your flashlights are in candle power? I think that's what a candela is. All right, so somebody tell me, what is K? Well, let's do the math. 60 is equal to K over 30 squared. So I'm going to multiply by 30 squared, or multiply by 900, right? Somebody help me. It should be 54,000. What is that noise? And now what am I going to do with that 54,000? I'm going to back substitute right there. Now I get I is equal to 54,000 divided by D squared. And that takes care of that. Now what? Now plug in 25 feet. I is equal to 54,000 divided by 25 squared, which is I is equal to 54,000 divided by 625. And somebody give me that.
86.4.
86.4. So you get that almost 90 candelas, whatever, 90 candle lights. I don't know. I have no idea. I love candles, but
Sounds like a burrito.
What about the
that's the
Senate
part.
candles?
That's the part male in me. I like candles.
I like cookie bellows, please.
Yeah, please.
With some
I thought that was Modelo's. Bunch of alcoholics. And I'm trying to get there, but something is going on with this computer. Okay, there we go. And 54,000 and 25, plug it in. I get 86.42, so. And look at there, 86 candelas. So somebody needs to look up candelas. Illuminati, is that what it is?
Right there, Illuminati, right there. ILL.
Okay, I've still got time, so some of y'all are convulsing, but, we'll be all right. So let's look up 3.4. Now, again, if I give you a test on chapter 3, which I'm going to, 80% of it's going to come from 3.1 and 3.2. Everybody with me?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So you're talking maybe a direct or inverse variation question and maybe a graph out of 3.3, the one that I did, and you should be able to do it. Okay? All right. So here we go with slideshow, and I'll tell you how important this is on your chapter 3 test. Now, if y'all want me to give you a chapter 3, 4, and 5 test, I will, but I thought I'd break it up. But
No, you should break it up.
okay. A parabola passes through a point at 0, 5, 4, 13, and -2. Write the equation of the quadratic function. Oh, so what do you do here?
Graph.
Quit.
I quit.
You quit. All right, so let's look at this thing. Y is equal to A times X plus K plus, X plus H plus K. Y'all remember that, right? Now, do we know it's a parabola? Do we know that it's a parabola? Yes or no?
No.
Yes, because it says it in the problem.
Okay,
Oh, it says it
highlight that. That's supposed to be highlighter. Damn Russians. I'm sorry, Ukrainians.
Watch out for the ADL.
I know. So the parabola word tells us that we got to make this to the what power?
Oh,
To the second power.
there we go.
Now, I like this guy. Why do I like this guy? Well, that's 0, 5. That's pretty what?
So,
Yeah, that's the y-intercept. And then you've got 4 and 13. Now, I'm not going to fool with that -2 and 25 because that's, let's keep it simple. All right, I know this is x and y, right? Okay, so I know that I've got an x and a y, so I can plug that in. All right, so what I'm going to do, and we know that we want to deal with ax squared plus bx plus c, and we can plug it in, and that's what I was going to get to when I did the algebra. You get to ax squared plus bx plus c. So I'm going to plug in, if you do the math, let me get rid of that. If you do the math, what is this shortcut right here? What is this right here? Shortcut number what? Shortcut number 1, Hubert. That's right. X squared
shortcut number 1.
plus 2xh plus what? Plus h squared plus k. Okay? And if you do all that out, you're going to get y is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c. Basically, if you do all the derivations, you get that right there. So this is in quadratic form. Now, some of you that had the quadratic formula drilled into your head in high school.
Negative b.
There you go. You're exactly right. You had it sung to you. That's the form. Ax squared plus bx plus c. So we already have x and what? X and y. So 5 is equal to a parentheses 0 squared plus 5 or plus 0 what b times 0 plus c. So what happens to the a and the b term? We know that goes to 0, so c is equal to 5. So you need to write that down. C is equal to 5.
Wait, we set all that equal to, I know we set it equal to 5.
You used 0 and 5. Now, why did I use 0 and 5? Because that 0 is going to help what? Clear out some things. And you've got C is equal to 5. So you need to, So you know that C is equal to the y-intercept. So write that down, or I can erase that, and that should be what they're doing. C is equal to 5. Now, why did I pick 0, 5? It makes life a whole lot what? Easier. And will they give you the y-intercept? Yes. On this problem, they have to, because technically it's going to be impossible to do without the y-intercept. So then what do you do next? More plugging and chugging. So I'm going to take the 2 points right here. I'm going to take these 2 points, which is x and y, and x and what? And I'm going to plug those in with c equal to 5. So that's what they did right here. So y is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c. So here's ax squared plus bx plus what? C. Ax squared plus bx plus c. And now you've got solving systems of what? Now I want everybody, from what you've learned in Unit 1, solve those two for A and B. Oh, I see opposite signs. So I'm going to multiply the bottom by what? 2, Hubert. That's right, class.
2.
Y'all really suck. Y'all know? So 8 is equal to 16A plus 4B. And then I'll do it in blue because I'm trying to be animated with y'all. 40 is equal to 8A minus what? And what happens to the B's?
They can't.
And now you're able to finish it. So finish it.
So you got, and the A's can
So 48 is equal to 24A, and A is equal to what?
2.
So now you can take that A is equal to 2 and plug it into whichever one you want. I don't care. Since this one has the smaller variables, I'm going to put it in the second one. So 20 is equal to 4 times A, which is 2, minus 2B. 20 minus 8 is equal to negative 2B. 20 minus 8 is what?
12.
12 is equal to negative 2B, and B is equal to negative what?
6.
Now you've got A, B, and C.
Or isn't that a positive 6? Oh no, you're negative 2. Never mind.
Can I teach now? Can I be in control? I'm sorry. Y is equal to 2x squared plus negative 6x plus 5. So our quadratic for those 3 points is 2x squared minus 6x plus 5. And you feel good about yourself. Because I guarantee you somebody in here has had that question before and you had no idea how to do it. Anybody at Pendleton that's not texting? I figure since I put away your laptops that you revert to texting. Make sure you put it under the table where I can't see it.
Priority 1 message coming in on the channel.
That is a test question. So make sure you know how to do that one. And let's see what they got. Is that what we got? I think we did. Here they're probably going to give you the same type problem. And they're going to pick 2 points. Now they have to pick 2 points for you. Or they've given you a reason to pick 2 points. Alright? So they're going to pick number 6 after create a scatter plot. We did that. And then they're going to ask you, what does this look like? Well, it looks like a straight line, but there's an argument that you could put a polynomial line here. I tell you what, let's go back, and I want you to write down the previous problem. Write that down, please. What ahead and write that down because we're going to put this in the spreadsheet because you can use the calculator secondary, but I teach everybody in Math 109 and 130 how to use the spreadsheet because guess what you're going to be using in the real world? You're not going to be using that calculator. You're going to be using the spreadsheet. Okay? For those of you that make good decisions and get a job, my daughter gets mad at me every time I say that. Because if you don't make good decisions and don't graduate high school or don't graduate college or don't get a vocation or a apprenticeship or, those are just as good, then, Bernie will take care of you. Bernie or Elizabeth. I don't know about Joe. I don't think he's going to make it.
I don't think he knows what it is.
I don't think he knows what he's doing. I think he's doing it just because people want him to do it. I don't think he wants to win it. Oh my Lord, that's my alarm that says people are fixing to go into convulsions. Right? So, now it says on the next page, I'm just going to go to the next page right quick and come back. It says, create a scatter plot. X is equal to the number of years after what?
2000.
So you need to go back to your handy dandy table and you need to change this to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, blah, 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 blah. So I'm going to pull up, I need y'all to write 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I need y'all to write that. I need you, if y'all got the decimals written down here at Anderson, y'all got them?
Yeah.
All right. Now I'm going to go over to my handy dandy Excel spreadsheet. Now make sure you pay attention here because these are the test questions that I will ask you. I want you to do it on the Excel spreadsheet. Okay? And I do make that kind of mandatory in Math 109 and 130. Oh, did I tell y'all that I'm teaching 130? I got the times. I need to write it down. I'll show you in just a minute. If y'all remind me. Where is my Excel spreadsheet? Down here. And I realize I only got like 4 minutes for those of you starting to convulse. I hear it. Oh, that's publisher. Where is the freaking Excel spreadsheet? There it is. All right, so what was it? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12?
Yep.
All right, what's the first one?
0.04.
0.045. What's the next one? 114.
273.
273.
409.
0.409.
0.545.
0.545.
0.791.
0.791.
And 1.023.
1.023. Okay, highlight it. Write this down. Insert scatter plot. There it is. Now, right click, click on the dot, any dot, turns it to X's. Right click. Have I shown y'all this? Add trend line. Now, here's where you need to know. That's a linear. What are we studying right now? We're studying powers, right? So you might want to say exponential. That might be the one you want. Or polynomial. Polynomial fits better, but I don't know if that's what they're wanting. So, and then you would type in down here, display equation. So there's the equation. And you need to learn how to play with this because I'm going to be honest with you, if I'm going to ask you a question on a test, it's going to be one like this. Oh, we're in quadratics. So that's the quadratic. Let me make it a little bit bigger for y'all. Okay, I got 2 minutes for some of y'all that are really convulsing. Okay, thank you. Why? I mean, I try to make... Some of y'all need to stay home. Okay, so let me go to home, and there you go. So there's the quadratic. That's the type of question I would ask y'all on a test, because I think it's very important, especially for y'all in business, to know how to use the Excel spreadsheet. And if you don't know how, use your calculator. And if you don't know how to do both of them, then see me after class, or tell me, send me a couple of questions, homework, and I'll go over them again. All right, I'm going to leave it at that, so you should be able to work on 3.3 and 3.4 now. Send me the questions, because I think now is where we're going to start seeing questions being sent in. All right, now, right quick, while y'all are convulsing, go ahead and convulse, get it out of your system. I'm going to show you my classes so you will know which 130 I'm teaching, okay? There's 4 of them, and I think they cut the Pendleton campus off. No offense, but they do that with a lot of the calculus classes. Let's see, where's spring classes? There it is. And it's down here. I'm just going to show you all the math 130. There it is. So there it is. So you might want to, I'm going to blow it up for you. And you can write it down for those that care. And I'm going to be honest with you, I would highly suggest you take my class. That's all I'm going to say.